Things have been so bad ever since I got fired from the mythical institution for teaching evolution. It seems like no one wants me to practice magical science these days.
Why don't you try a job that lets you use your theater degree?
Oh, please. Like anyone would want to see that.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, you got a letter today. They want you to teach a new class on evolution, and this time with new support.
Oh my god! Wait, is the new support any good?
Nope.
Oh, well, I'm desperate. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. As we approach the end of October, spookiness sets in. Gone are the days of the safety of decks with consistent linear lines, reasonable backup plans, and room for hand traps. During this unhallowed time, it's time to check out some truly unplayable decks. And chief among them is this Evol OGDOADIC.
I'm a snake.
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the #1 place to go if you need a pack simulator, a card database, or want to read a wealth of strategy articles. They also post breakdowns and lists from every major TCG and Master Duel tournament, including the Master Circuit series. Give them a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. With that, let's examine Evol OGDOADIC. Evol and OGDOADIC are two archetypes that exist with the same mind-boggling set of circumstances. Evol's got consistent access to Dolka and Logia, two cards that were enough on their own to define multiple formats over a near decade-long period. OGDOADIC makes use of one of the game's most historically breakable cards in Snake Rain, and despite all of that, the deck sucks ass! That said, both also got new support in AGOV, so we'll be leaning into the strategy's new capacities and seeing what can be done with these admittedly staggeringly strong snakes. The short of it is this. The deck has an incredibly accessible combo that gets you access to Miscellaneousaurus, then OGDOADIC Daybreak for 4 tokens. From here, the world is our oyster, and now that SP Little Knight is ruining the game, we might as well build around her, going for Sprint and Plague Spreader combos to insulate our end board with Barone, Masquerena for the bonus Little Knight, and as many of the Evol Xyz as we can manage. While this combo is interruptible, the deck has a ton of redundancy, as Konami's felt confident they can print cards at pretty much any power level, provided they support a deck as bad as this one. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, the Evols. We've got 3 copies of Evolsaur Leos. If this card is normal special summoned, you can set an Evolutionary Bridge or an Evo Singularity directly from your deck. During your main phase, if you control this card that was normal summoned or special summoned by the effect of a fire monster, you can send a fire reptile or dinosaur monster from your deck to the graveyard, then make 2 monsters on the field become the same type and level as that monster sent to the graveyard. After that, we've got 1 copy of Evoltile Mega Carilla. This card allows you to tribute a reptile monster, then discard a card to special summon a level 6 or lower fire dinosaur monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a Dragon Xyz monster you control with no material, attach up to 2 reptile and or dinosaur monsters with different names from your hand or graveyard to that monster as material. And you might notice, this is a 1-star fire monster. After that, we've got the OGDOADIC's 3 copies of Nihil, or, sorry, Niuya? The OGDOADIC Remnant. God, I miss when these were called Abhiss. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to send a light reptile monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if it's normally special summoned, you can add an OGDOADIC spell trap from your deck to your hand. And 1 copy of Curse the OGDOADIC Light. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute a monster to special summon this card, but then your opponent can special summon a monster from their graveyard, negating its effects. If this card is special summoned, you can target a level 4 or lower OGDOADIC in your graveyard, special summon it, but it's banished when it leaves the field. After that, we've got 3 copies of Diabellstar, who needs no introduction, but importantly, can fetch out a 1-star fire monster. 2 Animadorned Archosaur. Once we get a Miscellaneousaurus in the graveyard, this is a great card to summon. If it's normal or special summoned, you can destroy a dinosaur monster in your hand or face-up field, then add a reptile, sea serpent, or winged beast monster with the same original level, or an Evo Pill spell from your deck to your hand. Miscellaneousaurus is in here as a dump. During the main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Dinosaur monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Banish any number of dinosaur monsters from your graveyard, including this card, to special summon a dinosaur monster from your deck with a level equal to the number of monsters banished to activate this effect. We've got a Caligo Clawcrow, which is a search target off of Cupid Pitch, and a Plague Spreader Zombie, which is a dump off of Sprint. After that, we've got our spells, 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, 3 copies of the Sinful Spoils Hunter Fiend, 1 Snake Eye, 3 Fossil Dig, 3 Evo Diversity, which allows you to add an evil tile or an evil sore monster from your deck to your hand, and 2 OGDOADIC Daybreak. This card allows you to tribute a reptile monster, and for every 2 levels that monster had on the field, you summon an OGDOADIC token. Then during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one of your banished reptile monsters, shuffle it into the deck, then send a reptile monster from your deck to the graveyard. After that, we've got a Foolish Burial, 1 Evo Singularity, as it is searchable. You can target an Evo Tile monster and an Evil Sore monster in your graveyard, special an Evil Czar, Xyz, and if you do, attach those monsters to it as materials. 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, and a Called by the Grave in the extra. We've got Baron, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Cupid Pitch, which if synchro summoned, allows it to modulate levels, and if sent to the graveyard as material, not only burns your opponent, but adds a level 8 or lower monster with 600 defense from your deck to your hand. Typhon, Evils are Lars, Logia, and Dolka. We've got an Abyss Dweller, Access Code Talker, Apollosa, Nightmare Unicorn, double SP Little Knight, 1 Sprite Sprint, and a Masquerena in the side. We've got 2 Druis Worm and a Magnemite, Harpy's Feather Duster and 2 Lightning Storm, triple Tactics Talents, triple Book of Eclipse, and triple Evenly Matched. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Shadowbird, and speaking of decks that got new support in Agov, it looks like nothing's changed about this archetype. Wow, you're blinding second? Cool. Our hand looks pretty good. We've drawn the Evil Singularity, which is kind of strange, but it's not important to the end of the combo. We'll go Fossil Dig for Miscellaneous Source to insulate our copy of Leos. We'll activate the effect of the Leos and send a copy of our Evil Tile. We're going to activate the effect of the Miscellaneous Source to go into an Animadorned Archosaur, then activate the effect of the Archosaur in order to pop the Leos and go for Nihil. I'm just going to call him that for the rest of the video. We'll afterwards go for Curse, activate the effect of the Curse, bring back the Nihil, and then afterwards we'll go ahead and activate its effect in order to grab Daybreak. We'll Daybreak, pitching our level 8 monster for 4 OGDOADIC tokens, and from here we can pretty much do whatever we want. What we want to do here is we're going to make a copy of Sprint. We're going to send a copy of Plague Spreader Zombie to the graveyard, then activate Plague Spreader Zombie in order to summon itself back and make a Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch is going to trigger. We are going to go ahead and increase its level so we can make a Baron de Fleur, then trigger the effect of the Cupid Pitch so we can dome our opponent and grab a Caligo Clawcrow. We'll go into an IP Masquerena, which represents a bonus Little Knight, set 1 card and pass turn. Our opponent's going to begin by giving us a Lava Golem, then activating Lightning Storm for back row. We will chain Evo Singularity. We're going to summon back our Evil Tile and our Evil Sword to go into Evil Czar Dolka, and that's going to wall our opponent. They're going to go for a Shadowbird Calling, summoning out a Peacock, which will be negated by Dolka, at which point we should just be able to win from this position. They'll pass turn, we draw for turn. Let's just play around Nibiru as 6th card. We'll take 1,000 off the Lava Golem, normal summon this copy of Leos, and let's just go combat. 14, 16, 3K, 23, looks like 8,000 to me. An impressive game 1. Our second match is up against Chimera, and this is not really the hand you want to see as Chimera. Our grip looks pretty good. We have 2 pieces of non-engine and full combo, but we're going to have a little bit of trouble against not only this Fenrir, but the double super polymerization lurking in the hand. They're going to normal summon a copy of Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws, get a Chimera Fusion, set 2 cards, and pass. We draw for turn, and that's pretty strong. We're going to lead with an Infip on this Cashier Fenrir, then fire off this copy of Fossil Dig into an Ash Blossom. No big deal. We have a ton of cards that get to our combo. We'll go Hunter Fiend for a copy of Diabellstar, then we'll activate Diabellstar in order to set a copy of Snake Eye. We'll go to the battle phase and walk over the Gazelle, King of Mythical Claws to make this Chimera Fusion pretty bad before firing off in main phase 2 a Pot of Prosperity, trying to find any starter, and we found them all, baby. All right, let's go ahead and get that Leos. We're going to go ahead and normal summon the Leos, then activate the effect in order to send an Evo Singularity to our side of the field and a Miscellaneous Source to the graveyard. We'll activate Miscellaneous Source, banishing it so we can summon a copy of Animadorned Archosaur, activating its effect so we can pop the Leos to get a copy of Nihil. We'll activate Nihil in order to send a copy of Curse, then activate Curse, pitching the Animadorned Archosaur to summon itself and the Nihil afterwards. Unfortunately, this walks directly into Super Polymerization, and as we go for the OGDOADIC Daybreak and summon a whole bunch of tokens, our opponent, I can tell, is just salivating. We're going to go into a copy of Sprint, activate its effect to send a Plague Spreader to the graveyard, activate Plague Spreader, summoning itself back, and there's Super Poly. Okay, they're going to eat our board for a Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. There's still a little we can do. We'll go Daybreak in order to put a card from our deck back in, and then we can mill this Evil Tile in order to keep the Singularity online. We'll activate it in standby so our Masquerena is able to resolve. We'll go into Dolka, and oh my god, they found all 3. Okay, well, we can't win from this position. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Rescue Ace, and boy, this card stomps rogue, so I am not looking forward to this. They're going to begin with a copy of Airlifter. They're going to activate its effect for an emergency. They'll activate emergency. This is probably the best time to Ash, but unfortunately our opponent has a follow-up Pot of Prosperity. You know, in the old days, that would be the end of the turn, but no longer. They're going to go Pot of Prosperity here to find kind of mid stuff. They have to take Snake Eye here and tribute their last remaining monster to go into a Hydrant, but that should be enough. They'll go Hydrant here for a copy of Turbulence, and then they can activate the Turbulence effect, summoning itself, and then they can set 4. Okay, well, this is going to be hard to chew through, and when you don't see the second trap, you just know that you're going to have to contend with it anyway. They're going to grab a Preventer. They'll activate Preventer's effect, banishing that alert to go into Little Knight, and then trigger the effect of the Preventer, summoning back the Hoister to reveal, yes, they are also on the Isold combo. They're going to go Isold for an Impulse, then activate Isold for 1, sending a Durandal to summon a Ricardietto. They'll activate its effect to summon back a warrior to their side of the field so they can retain an SP Little Knight after making Baron. This is rough. We'll draw for turn, and they're going to rescue immediately in order to get a Hydrant back on their side of the field, so all of their traps are immediately live. We're going to begin with a copy of Diabellstar. That triggers not only the Impulse, but gives them a sick target for the Contain. They'll grab a Preventer, then activate the Contain in order to negate the effect. We opened Hunter Fiend, but that doesn't really do what we want. We'll go Nihil here. They're going to chain SP Little Knight, and, man, I don't even think we should play this out. I guess we can go Curse to summon itself and hope that they just don't read OGDOADIC Daybreak. Unfortunately, they do. Next game. So it's time for game 2, and whoa, this hand is crazy! But for the curse in the opener. Okay, we're going to go Fossil Dig here in order to grab a second copy of Leos just fishing. We'll go for Diabellstar. They're going to chain Infinite Impermanence. They feel pretty confident doing that with an Effect Veiler in their hand. We'll go Miscellaneous Source, so thankfully the Leos does get to resolve here. We're going to set an Evo Singularity, then activate the effect in order to send the Evil Tile. We'll go for Miscellaneous Source, banishing itself for an Animadorned Archosaur, then activate the Animadorned Archosaur, popping the Leos in hand for a Nihil. We will go into a Masquerena, then trigger the effect of the curse in Graveyard, summoning itself, and passing turn. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Airlifter. We will activate Evil Singularity in order to make a powerful Xyz monster, here Logia. They're going to go for Emergency. We will try to negate, and not only will we be punished, we will be just completely shut out of the game by Forbidden Droplet. Okay, we lost our IP Masquerena as well, so they get to go Hydrant into Turbulence Effect, into set 4. And this is pretty much all she wrote. So we're back with the deck, and no matter how evolved they become, these reptiles can't end racism. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The new Evol cards give you relatively easy access to any of the Evol Xyz monsters that suit your needs in match. 2. There's a lot of room for experimentation with this deck. You could add the Horus engine, more OGDOADIC cards, heighten the ceiling. This is just a very basic shell. And 3. The deck is very consistent with Diabell plus 9 Rotas. You are usually going to draw a way to combo. And the cons. 1. The high-level OGDOADIC is a hard Garnet, and it really reduces the ceiling of the combo if you draw it. 2. It's less resistant to hand traps than other top decks. It can usually play through 1 early, but near the end of the combo it has pretty severe choke points. And 3. It's not great at going second in engine. You're going to have to draw between 1 to 2 non-engine pieces to even play on the draw. All in all, I want to pitch this as a fun deck for locals, but with a price tag like 60 Diabellstars and 2 Little Knights, I don't think I can do so in good conscience. Thanks so much for watching. A huge shouts out to all of my patrons, but specifically Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Bacon for Hire, Brett Henry, Kenor, Da Bears, Darkmaster Zork, Derpin Dragon, DJ Elephant, John Piet, Jordan Kuntz, King Magic Ruler, Knight Mary, Legal Rights, Lockstone, Luis Hernandez, Matthew M. Dorezzo, MBT Play Madolce, Melfi Stan, Mike Carlotti, Puffins of Doom, Rose Lapine, Solar Flare the Ricka Queen, Storm King 01, Troy Says By Erasure is Gay, Vincent Storm, Who's Nick, Wonder Waffle, Yuki, and Your Socks Are Moist Again. Couldn't do it without you.